Taba Chimbegi, Chen Yamlenji, Tato Kuna Chanchusem Yamlenji, Dang, Rimbatilla, Janjisim Jenju, Janjisim Pain Sheva, the Shusa, Yangazuki, Janjusem Pain Shine, that Janjusem de Pasung, Yams Lembala, Nialea, and the Garcia Horsena, and Zugi, and Jitipasha Ubores. It's not that Kasore, Yala Tibugone, and the Chick Chachushed. Then Dipa Shabala, Niela, Chebuata, and the Chick Chatsawa, and Japsutuala Sovache, and Dusine, Geopolis, Jezadian Ludi, and Diva Shabal Luce, that Diva Shabal Lu in that Dilly, Diva Shabala, Niela, Niebotushuko, Diva Shabala, Nielea, and the Chick Yakonjo Sumleacha, Chebuata, and Chatsawa, Japsutuache, then Diva Shadire. The Nezadang of Kizim, that was Chebuade, Kizimada, Denma Shuchine, kissing under the Garishuba Resna, Denma Shua de Kosubare, Chebupe Lutin Kosuarwa.
Good evening. So we've completed looking at the first chapter of our text, Engaging in the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, which presented some of the benefits of the remarkable mind of bodhicitta. This was presented so as for us to, through reflecting on these benefits again and again, to generate a sincere and deep yearning to generate bodhicitta within ourselves. But before one can generate bodhicitta, one needs to purify the mind stream. And that's now the second chapter that we've come to, that of purification or confession. But even prior to purification, one engages in accumulation, because it's done in the context of the 7-limb prayer. And the limb before purification is that of accumulation of merit or making of offerings. So last week, we looked at the first verse, which was that of making offerings to the 3 jewels. And then we came to the second verse, which is starting to present a making of offerings. And that's where we are.
Then Chupu Yudi Karelane, and Tawachimbu, Tumome be Jamio Concho Sum de la, and Jansanje, Captain Boba Sanyo Concho, then Chio Concho, Papi Tesin Papi Gaza Yugi, go de la Lamde Nije, and the Tesin Jusimbi, Papi Gaza Tawachimbe, Papi Gaza, Gideon Conchoje, or Chupu Yuda, Japsu to you, Jap somebody, Tesin Tumome be kept somebody in Je, Puya Yudi. And the Chopuya the Karipugo resine, but then the Yanis, Jigam, and Jig Chope, double Sumbi, Chopuada, double Mazumbi, La Sopata, Rangi Lupu, La Sopata, the Nigga and Jiggy Jilu Lange, and Jig Chopuya, La Sopa, Dispuya, Insin, the Chopuya, Insipuya, Dispuya, Zedicated, Lu Lange. Some Lotange, Lange Puet, Tanzu, men identity, yours, Mabby Puet, on those in the Puet in the Pugo or Edge, and in as other kissing under the Jude, that Chopu, you conjure some da, and then Ma and the Jig, Medolas or Puedige, and the Casseti Shusabari.
The purpose of making offerings is so as to accumulate merit in order to generate bodhicitta. That was reflected in the very first line of this chapter. And the offerings are made, as we saw in that first verse, to the unique 3 jewels of the Mahayana. So the Buddha jewel being Buddha Shakyamuni, the Dharma jewel being the true paths and true cessations in the minds of Arya Buddhas and Arya Bodhisattvas, and the Sangha jewel being that of Arya Bodhisattvas. So those are the unique 3 jewels of the Mahayana to whom the offerings are made in order to accumulate merit to generate bodhicitta. And the variety of offerings that are made are firstly those which are unowned, and that's what we've started to look at, as well as that which is owned, offering of one's body, and offering of what one visualizes. So last week in the second verse, we looked at offering things such as flowers and fruits and so forth.
나든다 랑도 긴 최고 피디 갑라 군호디다 전주 심기 군호 지켜와다 그래서네 산예 심자 탐지기도 산예 고방 토야 치기도 이 심자 탐지기 동아데 제제 심자 탐지 산예서 고방이야 직 동아를 줘야 된 디기를 줍제 심자 탐지 코리 동아를 줘고도 딩이 줘와 치기 인생비게 삼다야다 디줘와 제발라 근데 탑뒤에 탑 초도 규바데 산요고방 토바 산요고바 레샤 지사 산요고방 토바라 안에 지게 파신 중에 냠는 제제 장주심 계제 냠는 제고고래 지사다 장주심 냠는 제알라 장주심도 파서 니 송고고네 지 냠슬랭고고 자서 디스와라 지사 지게 초 쇠는 지게 야버지 마사바이나 안지 게알라 갈라가고 뭐 된자다 최고부야단 차사와라서 반 디바샤바디게 제제는 저있으면 순기인세 도시들 최고부야단 차산 디던달에 심지어 탐지도는 산주고만 특별 실인세 조다 공로로지 디네 차기도 하them.
Again, the purpose of making these offerings is to accumulate merit in order to generate actual bodhicitta. So before making the offerings, we generate whatever replica of bodhicitta we can, and we do so by first reflecting on how all sentient beings want to attain a state freed of suffering. And we cultivate this thought beyond the thought of compassion to where we make the resolve that I myself will lead all sentient beings to attain a state liberated from the sufferings of samsara. But in order to do that, I have to become a skilled guide. I need to have overcome all the faults in my own mind which hinder my skill in benefiting others, and I need to perfect all good qualities, because it's through lacking good qualities that I'm impeded in benefiting others. So therefore I must become a Buddha. And in order to become a Buddha, one needs to practice the 6 perfections, generosity and so forth. But for those practices of generosity, ethical restraint and so forth to be perfections, they need to be conjoined with bodhicitta. Therefore, for them to be perfections, one needs to have already generated bodhicitta. Therefore, I must generate bodhicitta. But to be able to do that, I need to purify faults on my mind stream and accumulate merit. So therefore, one develops in this way the motivation to make offerings.
아다딘마 저기 최비게 최피에게 최바 제디게 파삼다데 안 무티 쉬셔딘마 다시들라 다린치 리워다니 디신도 나살라 사조 윤신 냠가당 준시메도 겐제부바당 신강 제상 야가 뒤바당 하소 지딘 나양 지다니 뼈다 빠삼신다 린진신 아니 디마루이나 데네 마음의 충배 로도 나바당 현양 최보로 외비게 안전남네 초당 정부 변매 견바닥 나바시도 개인 용어된스.
Last week, when you looked at the second verse, that was starting to present offering substances, or what it is that one can offer. And so we'll continue with that now. So it will be next 2.5 verses. Jeweled mountains and also remote wildernesses, enchanting forests, trees adorned and bedecked with flowers, and trees whose branches are laden with delicious fruit. Incense and fragrances of gods, humans, and other realms, the wish-fulfilling tree of the gods, precious trees, varieties of wild flowing crops, and ornaments that are also worthy of being offered. Lakes and ponds adorned with lotus flowers, delightful with the beautiful cries of water birds. So that's verses 3, 4, and the first 2 lines of 5. So it's a little more than we have on the board, but this is all together in the same outline.
나디네 다 부여게 부디가 블랑도 쳐다 뒤려야 하나 가서 그 신시제바 나시 안데 덴바상에 점된데 안데 슈여 삼바다 안데 안데 되네 안데 지 전시sem바 파베 가사 자상 슈여 삼베데 되네게 안에 되네게 개비다 덴바상에 점된데 전시sem바 파베 가사 유투기기 안데 지게 방베 연된 고된당 한 람디게 연데 람된디게 도스전에 다 건조숨기 안에 지게 동아 타당한 차상하다 그 동아 타다 묘모 바차다 제벌 교비 니바데 콘숨로 콘숨이 교비에 선배게 삼다다 내내게 안에 콘주스미 연된 잼비 토안에 안에 지게 도시네 슈여서 내내 소소한 게 내내게 최비제 안데레 부기자 군노 셈자 탐지 선유고 토베지도 대장의 전주스는 냠수 랭기 뒤던다 전주스는 야고지 냠수 렌제 냠렌제 탈침바 용야래야 아니 최고 부유의 삼제네 다 최바데 빈 린치 리워다니 스네 림보시 릭베 지그림보치 릭다 마라다 세다 우다 제더제 팔라라서 바다 데네기 다 지그 림보치 릭다 마게 리 도도도도도 춘추주된 리워데네기 망보시오 지여바 삼다제 안디 차사는 야지예 가소레 부유의 삼비게 리워당스 대신도 세대 다디나시 나사 세대 벤 신다 지기 신나 집에 야고 벤이 지기 대 신나 디날이야 안지 네 지게 로마 야고 예바 메도 야고 샤데바 예바 안지 지기 제보 야고 예딩에 네 신나 안은 딘 지게 디날이야 안지 지기 셈제나 자다 가르스되베나 차사하는 곳배 시대당 기워제돼 보고서 론저이 신나 나고 나살되네기 야첨보디게도 부야다 근데 이些냠가스데 되네게다 지금도 미다 되네게 매바사주 동바로 됐어 탕로다 되네게 직다 매도 빵 매도다 빵 유되게 되네게 사실배 닝지고 야보디게 두시네 안에 되서야 두시네 표고를 해지네
As was mentioned in the first verse, those to whom one makes the offerings, so there you have them visualize or imagine their presence of Buddha Shakyamuni and Arya Bodhisattvas, as well as the true cessations and true paths on their continuum. So those are the three jewels of the Mahayana. And one makes offerings to them because one recognizes that they have the capacity to guide us to attain enlightenment for the sake of others. And in particular, that we are making these offerings now so that we can accumulate merit under their care and guidance and thereby generate bodhicitta. So we have in the previous verse, we had a set of offerings, and this now just continues into the third verse. It starts with jeweled mountains. So here one visualizes mountains encrusted with jewels, whether they're diamonds and gold and so forth. So these beautiful, opulent mountain of jewels. And also remote wildernesses, enchanting forests. So as with last week, the only limitation we have on with these offerings are our own imagination. So here we are visualizing environments wherein if we were there, our mind would be at peace. Our mind would be amenable to the Dharma. So we imagine forests containing peaceful animals with a beautiful environment, vast and spacious, isolated. And depending on one's disposition, one can visualize thick forests or sparse forests or broad plains and valleys, or a combination of all. But one is generating an offering that pleases one and makes the mind broad and spacious.
Geshe Medo Genje Bubata said the Nege Geshe the Xingche, Xingdong, Xingda, then the Medo Be Yabu, Jig Medo Shadeva, then the Medo Dada Jig, Medo Gawota, Mawota, Sevota, then the Jangola Sopata Medo, La Mada the Nege Shu, Medo Shadeva in Bala Peninjo, Zevo, and the Nege Medo Geshe, Geshin the Nege, Lomati, Ninjota, the Nege Medo and Jevo. Bottom of a dinner to be and denege some dashing Junshi to get who or is Junshi method and again Genji Bubata said.
In the third line, trees adorned and bedecked with flowers. Here one imagines beautiful trees filled with flowers, and again, there's no limit here to how one makes this offering, because it's all being done with one's mind. One can visualize white flowers, red flowers, yellow flowers, a combination of them, and a limitless number all as vast and spacious, and thereby expanding our own mind.
Then Shingang Jesan Yalga Tubatang, Sidda, Shin Denegi, Shin Jehuta, Maras Nanzule, Saya, Lord in Jimanzus, Semjan, Mida Shazan, Saloya, Say, Yudik, Shingi Jebu, Bado, Meba, Yaga, Ninja, Jebu. Dama, Yaga Tubas and the Gugushan, Sing Jewu Mambuda Ya, Jewu Mena Ya, so Bushu, Jewu Dima, just Gugura, Chesa Denigi, Shinga Jesan, Yala, Dubata, City, Dine Jewu Tamara, and the Chiksana, Shimbu, Lule, Pemba, and Denigi Beijing, Jewu Dikipa, Chikan, Danzuki. As Jewu Mongoyova, the Penishing Dorita, Marayorova, Andina, Denigi, Shin Dorita, Marade, Penetewood. The
fourth line, trees whose branches are laden with delicious fruit. So here one visualizes trees with all the varying fruits that beings enjoy, and limitless in number. And each tree is not has just a few branches with fruit, but the tree is heavy because it's laden with so much fruit.
And the niggy lada luin, Jitena, Yuna, Jitensida, lada luda, netusagi. That's such a disigura, the name Yudegenda, the chicken. Jidani is the Shin, Bejig, Ranshinji, Jishin, the Gi, the Shingle, Timoyapo, Corona, Giorva, and Penitentiation, the Akara Shinsada, the niggy Shin, Dimayapo, the niggy, the Shin, the Gesso, Lada, Lasso Jitena, Jidanis, on to say, Pueda. The Pueda, Basam Shinda, Pueda, the Pueda, Puelia, the negative Jitena, and Tisa, the Shin, Jimaya, Boy, the Corona Shinja. That the Neajic, my boy, love you, that Shin, Patrick, Jani, Boy, Suena, Jimaya, Control Puya, Jimaya, Yorwa, on Puesa, on disorder, Jitena, Puedani.
Continues then in the fourth verse, incense and fragrances of gods, humans, and other realms. Here then one imagines all the fragrances of gods, humans, and other realms would include such as nagas. And here it's particularly natural growing fragrances, such as camphor trees, sandalwood trees, and so forth. Those who being in their mere presence, one's aware of a beautiful fragrance. And then incense, referring to incense which is made from those trees. So all of this one imagines and offers.
And then a Basam Shin said, the Shin, the Basam Shin, that in a Basam Shin said, Jigge, she was Yahuchi, and the Jibu Batumeba method and Jibu the Punson over Yedigan, that the Liang Jigge and Garadubina. Gargugina, this Yuji, the Gargugina, the Negi, then Shin Deli, the Jungore said, the Negi Basam Shin said. That is Basam Shin said, the God, the Lady or so, Leuli, Basam Shin, the Negi, and had the Negi Basam Shin, not so to Gueda, Medo Garguna, Dapusi, Kedang, Eres, and Dapu Mason, and Suine, Bishop Chagi, the Negi, the Basam Shin said, Medoda. And the table down, and the chick, Kare, Gueva, and the distant, then the Yungure, then the Basam Shin, the ne Rimboche, Rinchin Shings, and the Rimboche Shing, that is what Li Nalia, Rimboche Shing, Darik, Ramara, then the Yungure said, or the nigger, this is young Pugo said.
The verse continues with the wish-fulfilling tree of the gods and precious trees. So in the god realms, there's this remarkable tree upon which whatever one wishes for will grow. So whatever one needs, that tree will grow on the tree and provide one. So whomever one is, the tree, and whatever one wants, that tree provides it for you. So therefore, there's no sense of ownership or no need for miserliness, because whatever anyone wants, will be provided for them. And that's how it is in these God realms. And then precious trees refers to other precious trees that are found in the God realms.
Mame chungbe lodo nambadang sededa, ji mame be lodo juge limi lere kale chepche tapyo membe ge ko ranshinji ko nyamane ji chongdu ge gedu genge denege lodo an subol yang döndo de desoya manzo subo sawana lüele juda denpa de pemba an de ne yedegen an de jige döndo de gedine yor samje dene pugore jere.
The third line, varieties of wild-growing crops. So these are the crops that various beings eat, and they grow without any need for toil and labor. And so the crops that grow provide healthy, nutritious food for beings.
Chubawi Yenamnese. That the nigger, the member that ya consular Puva, Puchoyagi, Yen Ganasuena, Chasan Pugo yesterday. Shenya, Chuba, the Shia to get the member that Puva, Ganesina, Chasan Puchoy, Chasan, ya Pugo, the Benanzuki, Doning Jivoda, Doning Jivoda, the Nesashia Woda, the nigger Garine, the Puva, the Chasaya, Pugo, yes, the Puva, sitting on Zulia. 지나 지게 한저 사시 변에 조바다 안지게 한지게 한지 당하지 밀레 바베게 다 사시 조바베 지망 안바 안디와 지 조바는 지 내나자 람사 나 초초다 되네 직다 되네게 안지 지 세르기네 사바나 만절에 뇌하다 되네게 강아체게 직대서 되네게 푸 모여봐 됐어야 멤버 샹다 이 강에 차상 다 많이 리프여가 차상야 푸시고 그래서 아직.
The final line in the fourth verse, ornaments that are worthy of being offered. Again, there's no limit here beyond our own imagination. Offer whatever ornaments one finds pleasing. There can be natural ornaments such as stones or something in the environment, whatever one finds pleasing. What one does not offer is those areas of our world which are dirty and smelly and probably diseased as well. This kind of place one would not offer. But whatever is beautiful and wholesome, this is offered.
benede pure 가르스는 benede 초당 정부 비매 견바다선 초 benede 다 지게 초청중 초로다 되네게 아니 지게 초선도 자체로 정선에 대한 주기된 중중으로 정부다 안디나도야 지매도 변마게 돼 매도 변마로다 매도 변마게 돼 안에 되네 휴어 안에 지게 인지부 안델이야 안디 추나디 와래네 장항바 저와 되네게 봐 자니 자이 유되게 대소가 자디 예geb되게 예배 예념보 되네게 예바디게 이론와 이원된 바선 세스 통하되나 가랑라 요 닝지부도 스메 가랑라 기고야게 되네 이원된 바 차산도 수연이 표고래지래.
And then the first two lines of the fifth verse. Lakes and ponds adorned with lotus flowers, delightful with the beautiful cries of water birds. So again, one is just completing this broad and expansive offering. And so lakes will refer to large water sources and ponds, small water sources. However one creates this is up to you. What's important is to make an offering that is heartfelt and beautiful. This is adorned with lotus flowers and others. And then it's also the home to water birds, which have beautiful cries, and the whole environment is delightful to behold.
되네게 다 표고야되게 당하지려 소소하게 소소하게 려 소놈사야게 소놈사야게다 되네게 직제다 말아 부변에 제레 표비게 소놈 미라 용고래 자산 미라 용고래 지산디 소놈사하다 가서 소놈사고 봐 지산 소놈사야게 된다려 되네게 표고래 해야돼 지산디 표베이나 되네게 다는 삼나타니 표현도 표위게 소놈 소소야 소건절야 안지게 베네 대바다 건조게 게데 산 겹숨기 대바들에 대바다 대수게 연del야 and Deva, and Sas Social Church, getting Jesus Temple, so same ding that the negative years and you put out the social and bottom of us.
From the second verse to these first two lines in the fifth verse is all one outline. And this is presenting this broad and expansive offering that one is making. So just calling this to mind in the way that it's described here, one can imagine the mind, how the mind will feel, light and spacious and joyful. And with such a mind, one makes these magnificent offerings to the three jewels, coming from a place of deep and sincere faith in their qualities. And one's making this offering in order to accumulate vast stores of merit, in order to generate bodhicitta.
And then again, that is, 今年好像是都是普的sem dingi and so ge yueba ma je an janda ge de ne ge chilo le ba de ne ge je de ni chasa ya phu de so ge samlo de ba chasa ya gonshue ya phu ye ge so sen na gyune me de je ya phu ye ge do shin phu ge phu yo de ge sen na gyune me ya phu ye ge je de so ge dong wei dong len nyam len de ya cha go re an de la du chen nga du chen sam phu ge ma ba du chen sam da ye de an nga ge samlo de 파 동야디 삼로디 슈체르샤 누베체르 공대 주고 다가실래 냠네세 디 공배 주고 디 공배 줘베나 나주 규래 센나세데 충 주고 센나세데 뇨모 버려 봐다 지제 센나세기 라다 셴니가라 강아테야다 아니지 디테일 센네 제부디야 아니지 교보 쇼라데 마도 야보 쇼고 말해 세상 디 매버 쇼고 디 매버 쇼와라 두신의 동위에 삼바 푸위에 삼바 도친 푸용 푸비에 삼바 다데 디 푸위에 삼로 동위에 삼바 체고로 와디 진비에 냠는 체고 디 삼로데 갸체르 가제 갸치나 갸체르 당고르 디네도 푸디 고데 데네게 베다마 지 푸위에서도 삼로디 푸예기데 갸치 무시우 푸예기 세상 디 쇠남게 마옹바나 디 쇠남게 제부디 가서 셴이 된 제발라야 Jala ji rana shen yi de je ben kala ji bu ge shen le pan do du ge sen pan do du ma wa ka she le du lo go go ra ka she le go kala go go ra ka she le lob jong go ra ka she le an ji ji chu da ji xin da cha sang de ni ge to ne gang ge to ne na shen le ro ba che ba la su su ge je ge nu ba de cha sang sang wa ji go go ra ba de ni sang wa yo ba la nen da de nang zu du chen pu yin an ji jang ba na so nam sa ya de ga je mo ba ne de so nam sa ya ge de 그래서 제부디 주변에 현재 판도제기 니베딩 아주 셈리아 샤고르와 자데 디푸비게다 dondaladindu samtadionazule di samlodi samdu stayda samlodinalya nubedi ligorwa nube shagorwa da shayde basha asada sabon masaguru digi mombana digi tebudi yoya chagorwa dine sangazu gül masona da mombana nganjugi 튠게 야고야 되가선 튠게디 진비 집을 해라래 진마 마다나 튠게 거 말해서 진진 진바다나 롱제디게 진비 집을 해서 디네 인자 안디 롱제디게 요하야래 진바데 디네게 야 푸고 거와서 디네 냠면 제고 그래서 제가 도나리 또 어디 숨고로 와 디네리 도나인 보데
When one makes offerings such as this, one should do so in a manner where one isn't merely reciting a formula or some prescribed words, but do so with sincerity, so that one is really offering from deep within. Because what one is trying to develop within oneself is a genuine, generous attitude, an attitude which freely gives everything, where we freely give of ourselves to others. So here we're offering what's unowned, we're offering what we are imagining, and we are able to do so because it's just a production of our imagination. We are able to do so without any sense of miserliness, and thereby we are impacting on this afflicted mind of miserliness, which is an expression of a self-centered attitude, and rather cultivating an habituation to pure generosity. So this is why when we make such offerings, we should do so with sincerity, not just as a mere repetition of a formula. And by by making these offerings repeatedly, we strengthen our habituation to this generous mind. And by making offerings such as these, which we'd make in a joyful manner, our current habituation to the self-centered attitude of miserliness will weaken. So we are, of course, accumulating virtue of generosity. And we're doing so through developing in our imagination, making offerings of a vast scale and a wide variety. So this is a very useful habituation to develop, because the needs of beings are very varied. Some beings are in need of food, others are in need of clothing, others are in need of medicine, others are in need of all of these. So by us making offerings such as these, with a vast and joyful mind, we're creating a habituation and imprints which will help us to fulfill the needs of all beings in all their varieties. Because through these imprints that we create, through the practice of generosity, the ripening effect in future lives is to have material abundance. And having a material abundance together with a strong and sincere attitude of generosity, then in future lives we'll be with great ease and sincerity be able to utilize our abundance to ease the suffering of others. And in this way, through a practice such as this, we are creating the causes to be of direct benefit to beings, to directly ease their suffering. So this then is to explain the reasoning behind making offerings such as these.
The Carpenter and Dination and Sangia and Simple di Goya say Marwan, Goya Mevachilla and to do some done Mazungo me, Mevachilla, some of the Netan, Chichi, some that the house used to tell us somebody did Kubaro to some big Jansigua, says that did Tata Chagomare, says that Bendigo Sigiri in a Tanga ship to some data and Prisa Yudi, Jamnia Conjo, some bad chicken. Kuson Tusum Yuan Champion, Della Debache, Denigi, and the Captain Bobo Corey Dunga, Tamjela Sagan, and did Koran give somebody Yi, Sambiki, Tiki Sagan, Sambi Yisheta, Dushin and Mebache, and the getting Cheso Champion, and the nigga Sim Dingira, the nigga, Dushin Pugu, Sambi, not so what Pugu, Sambiki, Priada, Mebache Pria. The Nige Jelia, Prisavi Jelia, Sosuki, the nigging Pugu, Sunam di Maobana, Simjana. Goede Panaco, Goekare, Goba, Semgelia, Capando, Cause, the Dungasea, and Digiru, Care, Goba Digi, Nalia, Need the nigger, Consulia, Jane, and Chigi, say Tubiki, Gama say Tuyada, the nigger wiki, Gura Shores and Piki, and Ducine, Malam Jap de Cheven, and Anjula at the Sunam de Guti, Sagorwa.
What I've just said as to the reasons for making these offerings, this is important to understand. Otherwise, one can see a practice like this or come across it in a sadhana and think, this is really just silly. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they have no needs for these things, and I don't really have them. So what's the point of doing a practice like this? It seems pointless, a waste of time, silly even. But if one understands, as I've just explained, why this is done, then one will be able to do so with sincerity. So first one generates faith in the qualities of the three jewels. And through having this basis of faith, one is about to make offerings to them and thereby strengthen our connection due to our faith, open ourselves to their influence, to their guidance. Then one makes offerings in the way that is described here. And thereafter, when one comes to dedicate, one dedicates again not with just a mere recitation of dedication verses, but with a sincere commitment that I will give of myself, so practice generosity, I will give of myself in any way that beings need me. Whatever needs they have, I will strive to fulfill them. I will fulfill the needs of all beings in all their varieties, And in this way, we dedicate our virtue. And just like at the outset, when we turn with faith, and whilst we are making offerings in dedication to, we do so with sincerity.
Sonam Sagore, Sonam Sagor said the Chingarzi, Sosugi, the Canessa, Semeroging, ever money do, and the Chig, Canessagina Sembege, that Saguna Minasembe, Topos had, Canessagina Sembege, Topos had the Yungurua, this is Tanganjugi, Tangaji, the Nigin Zatanganjugi, that Chike, Kibo Tamba, Nyamnemba, Lama Karsunguasina, Tanganjugi, Daddy Lu de la Tebaina, Kiawangama Karchi, your body. Daddy Lute how to grace or Chesang Daddy Ludelia, Yawoji, Tungan Tawa, the Yawoyode, Gavangama Gudi, Gudi Juviores. Chesade di Mena and Gudi Matubares. Chesade did this Yungores. Chesna Daddy Gavangama Karachi made Daddy Lula de Hores. Like your Maumba, Kiwa Chimale Ludang, the kind of Tungan, the Ludan, Kari Yungu made that is also some nonalia, Karasam Tang to some no Karuk Pish Yamle Yachidu, till some Dangores. Chesada, some nonalia, Shelia, Tivia, Sambata, Sena, the Never some logic Mang, the negative Shuk Chimboji Corduina, DJ Botella Maumbanada, Gangatea, and Chi Yungore, Dumanyaji. That is some nonalia, and the Ya control Debacha, that Zundri chair, that Negi, Jamba, and Save Samba, Pembe, Samba, Shalia, Tewaching, maybe some Shunguban, Digi Gawachimadela, Sedi Nashi, and the Yakochi to go. Just that Dineza, the Yungure Sage, Sungorua, just that Dine, that Angajugi, Dading Anju, Lula, Debanachi, Lushasa Yabo, and the Tungan, Titache, Yatache, and Jigobadi. They got good again let in the Yungura. She said, good again let in the Yungura city, Cashe did some to Ruade, so say Laga China, so the Yapon Lagamalan Mardi, good again said, Caler Jet Legana led in the Yapungurua, the men Yungmaras and big some of Yungurua. In a Chitan, the Laga led, gained the Laga Chiclea water in a Kiwanga Sonam Shoku workers and as mini. Lega Chibuchi Kashi Lega Kale Jonadin, Kale is Sayatun Dala Madala Mangur, what Nikale Jagor Niminga Lega Mangoja in a Chige Tungi Madana Kanga Chediga. Kashi just Dina Shinkale Majovene, Kashina Kale Duchevene, Dina Tungi and Tayada. Dictator the Ungur was just a gain the lady Gugu, Kindi, Lagaleva, the Kindi to Kevang Amigi. Usually, Sao, Kiang and Guya was some and the chick Yakushungu and Lambda Majoja, Meva Chatriada, and she Chicken and the Pinjo Yakuya, Pentondo, Yakuya, received Tondo, the Yakush Kirichi, and Lumsuka, Chavajap, Nimamata, and the chick in the Cholata, and Jew the Druya Mevade, Yungor Vadiso, and chick. Dinigi Kien take 10, take Tewagida, keep Yemiki Gushi Sadirwa, Kashel in the Yahuya in Gorwa, Zenizada, and Chige Karina, Guda, Kien, Shenshel, Dinner to Gugore, Saxon, and the Niki Ketchmuchagore. That is what says that the Niki Pubi, couple of the Niki Pudu, Socially, Sonam Sagore said.
Further, just to talk about why such things are done, because you may well have a doubt, how do we accumulate merit from this, in that this is just something we are doing mentally. Again, we imagining the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas with us, we're imagining this beautiful environment, and we're imagining giving something, but all we're doing is just sitting here. So how does this actually benefit us? And it's good to think through these doubts, so that by dispelling them, you can engage in these practices with real sincerity, because then the causes one creates are vast, as opposed to the causes one creates from a mere recitation. So to answer the question of how we accumulate merit here, we have to turn to the holy beings for guidance, those who have developed minds. They can look at ourselves, for example, and look at this body that we've achieved and the conditions we have in our life, And they would be able to identify what the causes were that we created in our past lives. We, of course, have no idea. But from their guidance, what we do know is that the causes we are creating in this life right now will determine what body we have in our future life, in other words, which realm we'll be born into, and what conditions we will have there. So that is the guidance that is presented in the texts in the context of the chapters on cause and effect. So this we need to largely rely on the guidance of others for. But how we can perhaps understand it more clearly is that what we are told is through developing our habituations to particular virtuous minds, we will be accumulating merit which will lead to wholesome, desired, ripening results. So we can easily understand this perhaps in relation to developing a strong habituation to a mind such as love, or a mind such as compassion, or a mind such as wisdom. By accumulating strong habituation to such a mind, we can easily imagine how in a future life that habituation will carry through, and it will be genuinely loving, genuinely compassionate, have genuine wisdom or intelligence. But so too with other wholesome minds, such as ethics and generosity. All of these wholesome minds lead to the accumulation of merit, which we will experience in our future lives. And it's because of the wide variety of causes that beings create, they experience a wide variety of results. So we have our own particular lives and circumstances, and when we look in our world, we can recognize that there are those who may long for something quite different, but they do not have the capacity to achieve an experience vastly different from what they've got because they are so impoverished. They may be born as a human being, but every day is a struggle just to find enough to eat. Every day is the decision, can I feed my family and will there be enough for me? People really are on the point of surviving or not. So what they are experiencing is the lack of causes of generosity and the ripening results of that. And likewise, if we think of illustrations to do with the world of work, someone can invest time and energy and labor into a project and it seems like it's going very well, and then in the end it falls apart. So for example, a farmer with great hardship and endeavor and expense grows a fabulous looking crop, but then just before it can be harvested, an unseasonal hailstorm comes and destroys it. All of these things come about in dependence on causes. Things do not happen causelessly. So with this understanding then, we should apply it to our own mind, or to express it differently, how we live our lives, knowing that at all times we're creating causes that we will experience the fruition of in the future. At all times we have the potential to be creating virtue that will ease our spiritual development in future lives. So it's through reflecting on all of this that even some of these points which seem quite abstract, quite difficult to understand, difficult to really believe, through understanding associated points, we can then more broadly accept what we can't directly perceive yet.
남가 rabjam kamji te du ne yoso sonwa meba deda kun lue la ne tuba ki yi chok sedan jeba namla lebul nas Atisha lebul nas.
So then continuing in the text, the last two lines in the 5th verse and the first two lines in the 6th verse. All of these which are entirely unowned and extended to the very limits of the infinite realms of space, calling them to mind I make a perfect offering to the supreme beings, the munis, as well as the bodhisattvas.
Atisha Ganglia Zedi to Pugore says, Put Zedin Samda Pugore La Roda, Chidida Dinma and the Canis Pugore Lana, that's in Namge Gawasur, Namge Rabjan Kamgi, Tek Tau Duna, Sidda Bene, Namka, that said, Drona, Namka Tadiris and the Letius Mer Zoya Merwa, she's a Namka Nashin, Don't Yachembo, Rabjam Sidish. Gaze calculating as well. Namga Rabjams the Yachimbo or that Yachimbo Namka Nashin, Denige, Kamgi, Lucina Gangjene, Tata, US and bigger than Chica Gawa, US and Lucina, Babache or S. That put that in the she said to get this Lucina, the Gaze or a Gaze, so the name my member, Paudo Meba, Namka Gawa, such a Chasan Gangjene, Chigedic and Lucina Yuba. Yuba some daje, then you also swam about data queen, said Denigi, Susuki, Bedge, you swam about data queen, Susuki, Kosore, Senat and Daudusin by Sen Meba, and particularly Sim Dignipa Ducine, Chick Pugo, Hesed Queens, Le Lane. Sem Le Lane said the Shina Duchus, some non identity in the years, say some died or Le Lang said, Louis some died in the years. Then the years of the hand, Chipa, Chiki, Namge Gawan, and the Teto, which is a show, oh, years and big, some died. They are pre the same dignia, Chiki Senas, the Guinea member, the same dignia Lucipa, Puy, Sempetini, Chik Pugo, Lane, get to buy ye chalks at the Tubasan Jim. La Sobadandi, Casore, Dinama says, and this didn't that you can't Puy Zedig, some of the Stango racing edition, some Dantadi, do some Tango regime.
So from verse 2 to the first, up to and including the first two lines of verse 5, that's the outline where the offering substances were presented, or in other words, what we are offering. So that's that section. Now from the third line in the fifth verse, this new shorter outline is on how to make the offering, or the manner of making the offering. So just previous to this was what is being offered, and now how the offering is made. So here we have that, so the third line in the Tibetan is our fourth line in the fifth verse, extending to the very limits of the infinite realms of space. So all that one's has visualized, there's no limit at all. When we think of the limits of infinite realms of space, this is limitless. So as much as one can imagine, one can offer. There is no limit to what we are visualizing, or as we have in the sixth verse, what we're calling to mind. And all of these are entirely unowned. So what this is then expressing is that because what we are offering is not owned by us or by anyone, there's no trace of miserliness in what we are offering. There's no trace in miserliness about offering these jewels and beautiful forests, because it's not something that we're holding on to. So it's something we've called to mind, and we are therefore giving freely of. So this then is the meaning of all of these, which are entirely unowned and extended to the very limits of the infinite realms of space, calling them to mind, I make a perfect offering to the supreme beings, the munis. So this perfect offering that we've called to mind, we now offer to these holy beings.
On dinner some danger that pray you to Kiki Cho, said and Jeva Namla Lebuna, said, and you pray you the kissing Dambo on Saltavedi, Tuba. Kiki Church to a Sanya Jumden, that's Sanya Chasa, that's Sanya Jum Jibu member, check Sanya Chasa, Sanya Dang. And indeed, say down, says the say Janshima Papa Tiki. Jay Labdu that the 2 you got in Lamnes, Chokon Chagua Jay, and this we have Lucina Pugores. To by Kiki Cho, said that Jevanamla, said that Jeva said that, said Janshima. This one Namla, that Jay said this Nam controller Pugores, said Puyudi. They tell me 2 moments, make them the conscious on the radar.
So we can just add a couple of words to the 6th verse, to the 2nd line. Calling them to mind and make a perfect offering to the supreme beings, the munis, the bodhisattvas, and so forth. Because in the Tibetan there's a plural, so the plural should be there. So the 2nd line, to the supreme beings, the munis, as well to the supreme beings, the munis, the bodhisattvas, and so forth. So these, we've now called to mind all these offering substances. We've made our offering is vast and spacious, offering with sincerity, free of any stain of miserliness, and we're offering to the Buddha jewel, namely the munis, as well as the Sangha jewel, the bodhisattvas, as well as and so forth, the true cessations and true paths on their continuums. In other words, the Dharma jewel. So here in the 6th verse, one also calls to mind those to whom we're making offerings to, the unique 3 jewels of the Mahayana, the Buddha jewel, the munis, the Sangha jewel, the bodhisattvas, and so forth, referring to the true cessations and true paths on their continuum.
대지 부여 군로한테 군로 려봐 semja 탐제게 된 산조고 토고 토 디토발라 아니 전주 심 파신주의 냠는지 제제고 딩냠는지 발라 전주 심기를 교제사 전주 심 냠술리비 체도 근데 그 semja 탐제도 산조고 토비 체도 아니지 전주 심 냠술리마 이디 려 군로 려봐 군로 디시 다야 부여게 제대 려봐디 대시 제 풍송 소바 대소야 내 구멍구와당 현유 초점 제바당 부무베게 되니기 두세리 멤버 안 차사 지 부여게 제대 지 다바 풍송소바 야보죠 봐서 제 부여게 제대 려봐 군로 려봐 부여 려봐 부여 유디야 안 태바 침베 투모메 접내 권수 딜레 하바메 부여 유디야 려봐 제사 되니기 려봐 되길이야 군로 남바답에 토네 제 풍송소바 야고제는 대비군에 나체 류가 유숨 다 군주에 려봐 류가 유숨 구십대 된배도네 부기에서 올다 려볼 나서야 돼.
And then the 6th verse, what we have in the first line, I make a perfect offering. So maybe here, this word perfect is a very broad word. Maybe rather we should use a word like excellent. So I make an excellent offering. So the meaning of excellent in I make an excellent offering is it refers to one's motivation. Firstly to one's motivation, that one's motivation is wanting to accumulate merit in order to generate bodhicitta. So therefore one has an excellent motivation. Moreover, the word excellent, I make an excellent offering, refers to what is being offered, in that these are excellent too. That we're visualizing them vast in number, of supreme quality and infinite in quantity, and we are offering them free of any trace of affliction such as miserliness, and we're offering with an attitude of sincere respect towards the 3 jewels, and we're offering with our body, speech, and mind. So this is all then the meaning to the word excellent, and I make an excellent offering.
And the Puguesa, that Puguesa, that you need damba, tuji chenamji, dala, zergon, dagi, dishi, didashes. You need damba, tuji chenamji, dala, zergon, dagi, didashi.
Then the last 2 lines in the 6th verse, do we have a 6th? Yeah, we have it up there, good. Sublime recipients, through your immense compassion, think of me with love and accept this from me.
Yeah, just that dinigi, Kunlong dinigi, Semja Tamjig, Sanjo Gobato, Yukunia, La Puye, and dinig, Mojige, Dabo, Ponson Soba, 데니게 다 룽아 이숨 요관에 안지 아지 구셔의 템베트는 부유스 부유자 아니 연예 담바 세대다 연예 담바 투지체 연예사데 저기 나아들야 개화사야게 연된 라야게 네데 수레스 되지 gebne koncho sumseorda kyaranso aser 연예 담바세데 다시 태바치면 두번 부여기 gebne koncho kyaransoorda kyaranso 연예 담바레스 지난 kyaranso tuk지에레스네 kyaranso sem제 탐절라 인지 니지다 제와 tuk제와 첨보여디레스 제사다 네디 부여디 kyaranso게다 연예 결혼 연예 겹숨 연예 담바데 결혼게 투제 왕게 네 부여게 제디 시로시에서 투제 체남게 투제 체남게서 투제 왕게 저게 결혼절야 도체네 부여도 달라 제공 투제 체남게서 결혼 투제에서 투제와 잠 미샬리아 제와다 잠바다 제와 여바 투제 여바데 제가 니기 진 투제 왕게 달라 제공성 데믹스기 다 나이 디푸이도 나리아 투제 왕게 다 나이 수남사야다 수남사야 될야 공부시제 아니 네 부여기 제디게 안두신의 시로시에서 나라 제공 다기 디다시에서
So the third line of the sixth verse starts with sublime recipients. This refers to whom we are making the offerings to. So that we call to mind the Mahayana three jewels, and particularly we think of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas to whom we are making these offerings. So they are the sublime recipients to whom we are offering these excellent offerings and with an attitude of sincere respect. And through their immense compassion, we request them to think of me with love and accept this from me. So think of me with love refers to be aware of my motivation, my deep and sincere desire to accumulate merit through this offering in order to generate bodhicitta. So this is the meaning of think of me. Be aware of my motivation here, that I'm wanting to accumulate merit for this specific reason. I want to become a bodhisattva just like yourselves and guide all beings just like you are.
Nala disungorwa de penes puyegi puse yuji sangye dan jenju sama papa dikili pugorwa jesa denige da kwangzalya me sangye dan jenju sama papa dikila dinis koya syo marwa dene koya mar jesa da dineza imhebrede ineya ngedi puyede nga sonam sayege tundala kwangzal pe shenlia zewada tuje ane gedine shen 동화다 찬다 삼바다 젠디기는 rum다 삼베게 데니기 안 투시 셴보디 귤레 된데 바레 대사 될야 아니 네 나려야 안지 쇠남사야당 안지 샘자 탐지게 두나 산조고모 톱투에게 쇠남사에게 된다려야 안징이디 부에디 경험적에 셰로지스 당이 부에디야 아니 류가 유스미고네 아니 구셰다 덴베도네 아니 경험남주 구송투게 연된 덴베도네 부에게 제디야 아니 지기 되네게 지게 나 자시 이동와 다바 제다바 도시의 부유스 안델 양아래 선음사회 된다를 컨설 셰로시에사지 된다 엄마 경험라서 베제데 이 부에데 베제데 요 말이네 당아래 니 선음사회 된다를 셰로시에사지 고로 되네지 되네 버로시 두지스네 되네시바다.
The essence of what one is expressing in these two lines is that one is expressing to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, I recognize that you have no needs. You have no need for what I am offering you. But through your love and compassion and being aware of my motivation, please accept this so that I can accumulate merit. I know you don't have no need for this, and therefore you, on one hand, you'd say, oh, I don't need it, no need to give it to me. But please, despite not having any needs, receive this offering because I have a need for this merit. I have a need for this merit so I can generate bodhicitta. And I'm making this offering with sincere respect, expressing it with my body, my speech, and my mind. Please accept this from me so that I can accumulate merit and generate bodhicitta.
최비 너선 달라 장마치 데나 현둔 공비기 권이디 다게 된레니기 아니 니기 투시시스.
We don't have it written up, but this is the 7th verse in the 2nd chapter. Not having any merit, I'm absolutely destitute, having no possessions to offer at all. Thus, protectors who are intent on benefiting others, for my welfare, accept these through your power. I'll read it again. Not having any merit, I'm absolutely destitute, having no possessions to offer at all. Thus, protectors who are intent on benefiting others, for my welfare, accept these through your power.
점블링이다 차사다 하유다 루유다 차사 유유 되니게 삼다 풀고있습니다. 결혼이 여바디 결혼이 여바디 푸는 되기로와 자 지금으로 와다 결혼 여바지가 푸는 되기로와 삼나 나디시거다. 다네 선남미된 전천대시도 나리아 되니게 푸여기 망보제 되니게 요 말에서 나랑게다 소소 가르스네 다니 선남미된 녀마 선남 개침부 마사와 인자 아니 되니게 마사와자 니기 나라다데 롱주 공부를 전천보서 공부를 유유를 요 말에서 그래 다니 선남미된 전천대에서.
Usually we think of making offerings as something that is attainable to those who have something to offer. But what Shantideva is stating here clearly, that he has, due to having no merit, he is absolutely destitute.
제가 되네게 전천대에서 제가 최비의 노르션 달라마 장마치 제가 최부 후예기 되네게 말이야 되네게 노르멍부가요 말에서 잘라다 되네게 후야가요 말 최비의 노르션 달라 장마치 가면서.
So read the first 2 lines. Not having any merit, I'm absolutely destitute, having no possessions to offer at all. So therefore, he has nothing material to offer.
제가 되네 인자다 나랑래 되네게 매바자 되네게 삼로르 랑체네 된 두신 부여에서 왔다 되네게 예바 매바치 두신 부여레스 제가 나랑래 되네게 부여게 제 되네게 포선 소바데 나래요 말레스 그래서 나 녀마게 되네게 제부 미야게 손은 마사바레 제가 나 되네게 대전체보듯이 공부레스 제가 되네게 부여게 노르셔나 매바레 되네 인자다 이 두신에 르 랑체 삼로나 두스디에 매바치네 부여에서 왔다.
So in these first 2 lines, not having any merit, I'm absolutely destitute, having no possessions at all. Shantideva is stating very clearly that because of his failure to accumulate virtue in the past, he has nothing material to offer. All that he can offer is this visualization.
대나 현대 공비기 공기디 다게 된래 니게 투셰시 세르다 제가 나데니기 대낭이 되니 나리아 되니기 푸예게 나랑그랑게 제 되니 매바리 등이 도시를 르라네 두 푸고레스 되니 푸바자 신기돼 캐랑 심지 탐지게 되려 펜버두에게 현된 공부 개체 보여버려 인자 되니자 현대 공부 개체 뭐 캐랑기 아니 네 된다려야 네를 수넘사야다 네 수넘사네 또 뮤르도네 장주셈 야면 타바단 가서 장교고본 토비 된다 니 된다라 삼다제에서 우리가 전륜 공비기 권보취에서 권기 디스권세도 되지 네 타바지 투모 잡냐 권조숨 평소 현륜 바지 선샤레 판바주비 되네 공부 유팅이지 리엔자다 되니기 니 뢰라 표에디게 나라라 매바지 니 뢰라 표에디 안에 코로나 매바지 표도서 마산바지 나래 손음사에게 된다 나기 된래 니 된다 손음사에게 된다 삼다제 경주 투기신 투시시 경주 누바 경주 누바당 되네게 여바서 지에 누바 여바서 되네 셔로지에서다 어디가 되지 개비도 공부하세요라.
And the last 2 lines in the verse, thus protectors who are intent on benefiting others for my welfare accept these through your power. So thus links to the previous 2 lines where Shantideva is stating, I have nothing material to offer. All I can offer is what I am visualized. So please, protectors who are intent on benefiting others, so you Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who have as your heart purpose the welfare of others, And then the last line, for my welfare, accept these through your power. So for my welfare refers to, I am in need of merit. So please accept these offerings because I'm destitute of merit. And this merit that I'm accumulating now, I wanted to serve for my generation of bodhicitta. So therefore, through your power, accept these offerings from me.
Zada sheyagi nuba yore seorda tu se de council nuba is to nubi topki shero she seorda shero she seorda tu she said. The benanga zulia jike jahab shanda chilya sajidineci in to kangbaro the yawo shuji dikora ins kora shero she and yora tero devene now the ding out to len jike nuba skayo marwada university marwa Sanje da yin symbol council dine shege nubo yorwata je nubo yora chesa council nubo ngi dine lu la chi phue di council le ngo so nga le dire si phue me ba ngi lu la chi phue chesa dine ge sam dang phue di council ye shege nubo yorwa dine nubo to ne shero ches chesa nubo yorwa nubo to shero ches.
For ourselves, we do not have the power that is referred to here, in that we are restricted by our human laws and customs and so forth. So if someone in some other country wants to offer us something that we cannot access, we can't receive the offering from them. Whereas Buddhists and Bodhisattvas, they are not restricted in these coarse ways that we are. So therefore, they can accept offerings, even just these merely imagined offerings.
Nadonala, Jessijola Chimbe, Anzulia, Labja Karandangore, Labna, Takanzo, Ya Janusem Yamlenche, JB Gabla, Nelia, and Chivo Pugores, Chivo Pig, Yudi Garsumorasene, and the Tapachme Tumom, Sanjeta, Janusima Pabata, D. Yen, Gasore, Goten Lamde, Jabu Sumbo, Delia, and Gonjo Sumbi. Tomorrow, Jimmy Conjosum to you, Kuson to you, and then Della Deva, Zidu, Ralia, and Jiggy Che, Dembig, Lamdin Chevas, getting Jesu Dembig, do, Che, Danger, could give you some douche in the Jesu Jet. And Puig, Zedelia, so Sugi Puiga, Danzugi, Mosu Puig, and the ditch Bene, Yanjaro, Puige, and the Chimero, Medora, then Puigabla, then is you Puigabla, then is Pugorda, socially, Chikang Yobata, and Anzi. Shamso Yabada, Susu Nubegi, Dumpig, Pugor, Pugor, the Inada Puedelia, Yanchada Puero, that Jindici, Medusma, the Mena, Susu Samonalia, Susu Puedele, Bemas, a catching boda, she would be some diada. And Delmas on Anjig, Nanzuki, Denigo, Sosuki, the Pushaba, Men Bigeta, Sosuki, Chilor, Pate, Medoa Yapo, Shinoa Yapo, Jebo Yapo, Yudekan, Denigi. Rimbochi Rik and Sodang and Jim Chiget Chuda, Denege, Chipe, Mazicachimushu, Desapen, Bear Mazicachimushu, and the Dushin, that Chiki Sajigana, Ganting a year serves it, Deniji Mebachene, and Pugore, said Puda Denish Pugores, the Dushin, Angele, and Pugore, and Denege, Pudi Gablia, and Chige, Nagi, that. La Sobata, Luyukone, Geshe Thubten Rabten, so some Nalia, like Hanzlia, made the Nichi Pugude, Ma, and the Chigi, Pubic, Sonam di Telangan, Nudu, and the Janjo Sem Gulakin, Pajuru in Yamen Tuyagi, Maya, Tutse, Wangi, and Dushin Council Dushin Shea, Shea and Alia, Jin Lapches in Nudu, and Yamen the Yabuan to Narochi said, Dushin as some Dachin, Pugore said, somewhere that answer that, the dining would the Labjer with this wall, as now some of the Tangore somewhere.
The advice that Shantideva is directly giving to us here is that we should make offerings to the Mahayana three jewels, the Buddhas, the Arya Bodhisattvas, and the true cessations and true paths on their continuum, in order to generate bodhicitta. So there are these aspects. Make offerings to the Mahayana three jewels in order to accumulate merit and so as to generate bodhicitta, those four aspects. And we should do so, again, not just as with a mere recitation of verses, but with a deep and sincere motivation, yearning to join the bodhisattvas in the vast array of beneficial activities, all to focus on easing the suffering of beings. So it's such a motivation. We make offerings. So you do this perhaps on your shrine. You put out your water bowls, maybe some flowers, and just do what you can on your shrine. But you don't leave it just as that. That's just the physical basis. Then you expand on that with your mind in the way that was presented in the verses from the 2nd to the 5th. Make a vast, beautiful, expansive offering. An offering that would be similar to the vastness and expansiveness of the variety of deeds that Bodhisattvas actually engage in to benefit beings. We make this offering with the wish to accumulate merit in order to generate bodhicitta. So we make the offering to the three jewels, requesting their blessing so that we do actually generate bodhicitta, and we do join them as a fellow bodhisattva, and we seek their ongoing guidance so as to generate bodhicitta ourselves.
Denigi pudu kable na sosoge da denigi tiksemjen da deji konjo sum kyabu di phani yo bache jeda da nga juge bene jige nyawa bada ida da dunro da dimewe semje chaza je dusine chopyegi nyamdo sosu nyamdo yeba meba cheda na sosuge da dinane sosuge kaso gochil masona sosuge gochiche an chasangi denigi puyo ba semda semje chasangi semje 탐제라 안디기 수남사 고고다 랑지부 수마 마임 semje 탐제 수남사 고르니 삼다제 semje 탐제 될이야 소수기 염도 예스베 메바체 차상기다 소수게 삼바나 차상요 두시네 삼로 지규로 토안에 벤 눈조리지 뭐 눈조 임바지를 나바 민하신 나바 되제 안 지금 지게 뭐 두시네 푸기 sembe 메바체 이제 푸야다 이게 푸고래 해야다지 미 지게 lama nyamlen bazu koronzo soso rangi sunamgi je samlo gyachimba kaze datubne kaje da ji pudi kablia soso gi jige bene dyambaro ji dyangaro dyambene soso ya ji luko mangbu yo ba ka mangbu je mangbu yo ba dene chasangi ba dyngyo ba dusin me ba chene ane jige dyang je ada dene gi je gorese da soso gi samba kaze 자가지 같이 땅톱네 땅고 인사라 땅톱나 선나 소소리아 선남 제사도 거리다 미지 소소 직부 되니까 블레 소소라고 망부여 봐 고델이야 제 망부에 이제 되네 차상을 는 거에 뭐 받아야다 되네
when one is making these offerings, it's also very effective to imagine one surrounded by limitless beings. One imagines them in a visual sense as human beings such as ourselves, but imagining them perhaps with a multitude of bodies representing all forms of being, all forms of life. So all those beings suffering the hells who cannot make offerings, you are now going to do it on their behalf, visualizing them around you. All those who are suffering in the spirit realms, who cannot make offerings, you, as their representative, you imagine them alongside you making offerings, and so too with animals, but not visualizing them as animals, visualizing them as humans. Vast number of beings around oneself, making the offerings alongside you. And as you recite the verses of offerings and other verses, one can imagine these beings having multiple heads and all making these vocal offerings alongside you, as well as doing so in a physical way with their palms joined together. And then all with an attitude of genuinely giving of themselves, making these sincere offerings. And offerings that one imagines as described earlier, there is no restriction on how we make these offerings. They should be vast and expansive with a mind that is free and expansive. And in this way, one accumulates incredible amounts of virtue.
제례가 되네 푸위 제례는 저기 당고와게 몰람게 제가 되네게 푸위 수남 될라 되네 소소한 뉴도 안에 자주셈 귤라게 안냠는제 된 사주고 봐 토바다 아니 뉴도 시안에 판바게 심을 마오바나게 semjenye kanga kane chebe na ngi se tu bi ke da de sunam saba de ke sunan di gyur wa sho sa da ani semjen liya shan liya pamba kan stu be na de ne tu tu ya ge ani ji ge ngi sunam saba de ke gyur wa sho sa de ne ge ngo wa ja da ma zu ke ho ngo wa de sam dang wa de ne ji ke sung go wa de ji wo re sa.
We've spoken a lot about making the offering. And just to conclude by reminding oneself of the two crucial elements at the beginning and the end, the motivation and the dedication. So the motivation is to generate bodhicitta, and this we've spoken many times about the motivation, how to cultivate that motivation. When one comes to generate, to dedicate, one dedicates this merit so that one generates bodhicitta and generates uncontrived bodhicitta so that one enters into the Mahayana paths of the Bodhisattva. One dedicates so that then one progresses quickly through the paths and then the grounds of the Bodhisattva, rapidly nearing the attainment of enlightenment. And the entire period of our spiritual development, that we continue to help beings, to engage in helping ease their suffering, in particular guiding beings to cultivate their own causes to lead them to enlightenment. And moreover, by making the offering in such a vast and expansive way, we dedicate this style of offering so that as a bodhisattva we have a vast and expansive mind, always looking for ways that we can benefit beings and being skilled enough so that we can benefit beings precisely in accordance with their many and varied needs. So this is important to do. Generate the motivation and dedicate skillfully.
And then as you get some sassy, that do some that you have some not died, some call died, some of the new Buddy Shagor, that had some new Buddy Shagor, Manzatungo, Penna, the Luzir, Benet, Chat, Tajik job, and the Jabig, Nuba Chunju, Subulia, Nuba Ligor, Gaze Mangajana, the Nuba Ligor, what I answer Mitungoma. Tina, that I answer Nangbi Chick. Kedik se nyamlen che de zo similar hali go sem gwa tang ko se de chitan samno nal ba du che de samno nal ya de ni ke ton we sem ba du che de ton we se ba ni ba sha ko da de ni ke ni ba sha de ke wa da di ke wa re da di sunam re di ke wa re di san ye go ma to ya da ta be du yu di re da da di ma chi na samno de ne du chen ji ji ni ba che she ju go da de ni ke ji je ni sam da du de ni gan zam ji le ko ji ni ba chen bu 차두고 얼마 저 센나세도 균이 매바서 차도 제가 센나세도 자원에 매바서 오고래 자원에 매바서 단데라다 두시는 삼다지네 삼로디파 센나게 삼로디파 규어 카규르제 게디는 동야냐야 삼로디 코르도야지 고고로와 디지로와 디나시는 아주 잠니지 곰세데 생어서 세외 삼바지로와 삼로디 잠바다 제와 곰곰고데 간sam찔라 게디나 잠바다 제와마데 세외 삼로 남야 유한매바서 차고로와 지난디 삼로디 파 장기장이 뉴버체셔다 디 차르지 가제 제베네 고소남지 사고르다 지자 고 뉴버시 리고르데 뉴버코 셈나라 뉴버시 디소남레들다
Tonight again we spoke about the need to accumulate virtue or merit. So what is meant by virtue or merit? So what we are doing in Buddhism is we are developing, training our way of thinking. And the easiest way to understand this is to think of the body. So if you go to gym and you lift a weight, well, that will make some difference. You'll strengthen some kind of some muscle, and you lift it again and again and again, and you'll be developing greater strength and perhaps some strength and flexibility. In this way, you'll develop your body. The more you put into your training, the more your body will be transformed. So this is really what we are doing here, just not with our body, but with our mind. So what we are doing is transforming our mind, transforming our mind through strengthening virtuous ways, and thereby eliminating non-virtuous attitudes. So we're developing our skill and our flexibility, not in our body, but in our way of thinking. So this is developing our mind, is through accumulating virtue. So as we to stay with this illustration, we practice generosity again and again and again. We are developing this wish to give. So this is growing within us. So we're accumulating this merit, and it's being experienced as the wish to give is becoming ever more habituated. So this, and that we are developing this potency or potential or capacity to give. That is merit. So too with other virtuous minds, say love and compassion. You meditate on these again and again, wanting beings to be freed of suffering, to abide in a state of lasting happiness, and develop this mind ever more so that it arises in a way that's ever more natural, without needing to be intentionally generated, and arising in a variety of circumstances to any kind of being. Here we are seeing how we are becoming very habituated to the minds of love and compassion. So what's happening here is, as we meditate on love or on compassion, we are accumulating merit. And what this merit is, or how we can experience it, is in this growing capacity we have of being loving, of being compassionate in any circumstance towards any person. So this growing capacity or potency or potential within ourselves, this is merit or virtue. That's all. Okay. Then thank you.